I was young. I probably could blame it on that, but overall, you're on your own. If you don't have food to eat, you're on your own. They didn't even. I think they could do a better job with, assimilating you into the society. When you come here as a green card holder, nothing. You are on your own. You are on your own. Perhaps one of the advantage you get coming as a green card holder is, let's say you come with your family. You're able to come with your family and you are able to use the family energy over here. My feeling was like, wow, like I don't have my feeling was like, cool, you have to get a job, you have to figure out the system. The system is so complicated. Don't let anybody deceive you, but it's not something you cannot do. It's just so complicated. You can easily go off ramp, in the sense that you can easily miss your road and you can easily make it too. It depends on how fate hits you.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Lost Lagosians, a podcast covering topics about Lagosians, Nigerians, and Africans in diaspora, as well as trending topics and challenges facing Africans living outside Africa. I'm your host, Brother Mike. Today with me, we have a very special guest. He's out in the East Coast, actually. He used to live on the West Coast, but then he moved over to the East Coast. Quite excited to have you on here. How are you doing today, sir? Please, can you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Abara. I'm glad to be here. Very, very glad. Yes, I lived in the West Coast for over a decade, and now I'm in the East Coast exploring it. Previous to that, I grew up in Oshodi in Lagos, Nigeria, for the most part of my life before I moved to the US. I actually moved to the US very, very early as a teenager. So I'm living two part of life. One part as a Nigerian, and the other part of my youthfulness was in the US. So that's cool.
So what city
in
the West Coast?
Yeah. Well, they call it the DMV in the East Coast. In the West Coast, I lived close to Washington.
Okay, very good. Very good. Then Oshodi, I know there's like Oshodi Sale, Oshodi Okay. What part of it were you?
Oshodi Gongon. If it's not Oshodi Sale, Oshodi Sale is the real Oshodi. Oshodi Okay is just the marketing, but Oshodi Sale, Mafuluku Oshodi precisely was where I grew up.
So was it pretty rough there? Because I know Oshodi is kind of a very sketchy place. Again, sorry if you're living in Oshodi listening to this. Oshodi is kind of sketchy, and every time I go to Oshodi, I always make sure it's the Oshodi Okay, because you just get on the next bus and you get out of there.
It's very interesting because living in Oshodi was normal because that's how you grew up. You haven't seen the light, or you haven't seen a different you haven't had a different experience. And so, for example, my high school, I had a total of about more than 4,000 people in my high school. So everything was big, everything was overcrowded, and so Oshodi was to me was not scary. It almost seemed like we kind of understood what was going on in the mind, for example, of the bus drivers, because we know as they are driving, you are walking, and now you realize like that it only takes a little hit, in a crowded market, to have died.
Oh, you mean like the road, it was so busy, there's so many cars, so somebody could be hit and just like, but still nobody got hit.
Everybody flying, Okada flying here and there, running one ways, climbing the curb. Wow. Carrying, overload, carrying load, carrying two people and still carrying a load. And barely having access to be able to maneuver his steering wheel. It was, but for me, everything was normal. And the reason for the normality was because, again, you feel like that's your world, and everybody else is surviving. So why won't you survive? And we didn't really have access to media to see how other people. Facebook, let me see, was Facebook out when I left Nigeria? Facebook was not out.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, though. It's bustling, just so much busy and everything going. So that's kind of interesting. To regarding what you said it seems normal that's the only way.
That was the only way that we were aware of. We walk to school. You have to figure out. Back then, most times your parents don't even give you money for transportation. Now in retrospect, thinking about it, you're thinking, yeah, you'll figure out life. They expect you to sit on the lap of a stranger. And thinking about it, I mean, that is crazy, because a lot of things happen, happening now. If you think that they were not happening then you must be stupid. Anyways, your parents give you money sometimes. Sometimes you're tired, and they don't give you money, and you still have to walk to school, But like I said, it wasn't that strange, but you feel the hustle because you get sweaty. I loved going to the Oshodi market, buy mango here. I will do this because my mom sent me to the market to buy things, So I go to the market, I see people, you jump in rail track, the train is coming and you're hearing pa, 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 and all the women are trying to carry their stuff, their fish or something out of the railroad and all that. So because you were young and you were not fully matured, I was not fully matured. I wasn't thinking about the risk, or was it the risk of trying to, hang on to a moleware boss? That happened.
What's the name of your high school? You said like it was a big school.
Yeah, I went to. I schooled in the complex, Oshodi Comprehensive High School.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And opposite my school was Oshodi High School. To the left of my school was Bolade Grammar School. And to the left of Bolade Grammar School was Ikeja High School, Ikeja Grammar School. It was, and that actually was probably why you didn't feel the overcrowdedness. But because in the morning, you are already experiencing market area because there was a flood of almost 20,000 students like you going to school. 20,000. Now I'm thinking about, are those people human beings? Hey, every morning, So it's crazy.
Yeah, I can relate to that too. As somebody who, went to school, in Fadei area, you had a complex whereby you had like Igbobi College, you had another school, like I think it's called Angos Memorial High School. There's Igbobi Primary. There's Igbobi Girls. So you have all those like 4 or 5 schools there. Then at CMS around Bariga too, you had a couple of those. Then at Munshi, you have some of those. So there are all these. I don't know who comes up with that idea to like put that 5 schools somewhere.
Stupid. Now thinking about this.
Say that again.
I think that idea was stupid. Thinking about the things from the security perspective, which I'm a security guy, so that idea, that idea would have been like putting all your company infrastructure into one
resource,
into one environment. Because should there have been some crazy person, they will be able to hurt so many people.
I know, but you're thinking about the American sense too, whereby
true. That's
why Nigeria. It's illegal to own a gun in Nigeria. The last I checked.
My dad was in the military and couldn't even own a gun. He always say he has a gun because people think he's dead, but he didn't. We knew that in the house.
The Nigerian army. How does that experience in Oshodi, though? So you set that up very well and you painted a very good picture. Thank you for that. How does that translate into your first flight out of Moritala and you come to the USA? Where did you come through? And that experience, so as this little, teenage kid. So how does that just translate? If you can remember that, it was a long time ago.
It was 2004. It was quite unique, and the airport was just right there close to us. So it wasn't like we did a lot of travel to to get to the
Oh, okay,
airport.
from Oshodi to the Keja.
Yeah. So the
Okay.
thing was to prepare for the cold. Like, the first flight I entered, it was the first flight I've ever entered. And it was super cold. And I remember freezing because I took my jacket and left it in the baggage that goes into the airplane. Well,
the cargo.
yeah. So I was freezing.
Oh, so that's your first lessons or warning for those that are traveling. Never leave your jacket with your luggage. Hold your jacket with you.
Hold your jacket with you. If you don't need it, then you can take it off. It's if you're hot, you can always unhot if there's anything like that.
Yeah, you can always remove. So if you dress in layers, you can remove the layers.
I still dress in layer today because when that cold hammer you like this, you remember the name for your mom that your father did not even know.
So it can get very cold.
It can get very cold, and the western part of the United States where I lived was it's usually very extreme with weather,
Very cold.
And very cold. So I had my first experience, but I thought it was, just getting into the plane. I could still remember the airplane was big. I was like, wow, I didn't even know airplane was this big. I look at the rows, 4 rows, and the AC was blowing, it was frosty. I was like, oh, wow. And then look at me, I didn't even know, nobody took you on a little,
vacation.
On it, nobody took you and gave you a little, bring you into a plane and show you around, or like, what did they call it?
Like a tour.
Yeah, you know how these pilot people fly and they can fly on their computer and the simulation. Nobody
simulation.
did anything like that. So everything was new, but I think I had already started the habit of asking a lot of questions. That's the other point you need, asking lots of questions. And so, yeah, it was a big plane, and so I did enjoy that. They were serving good food then. Now I don't know what they are doing, but yeah.
You don't know what they're doing now.
I missed not being able to say goodbye to my parents, because by the time I entered this thing, I didn't have any phone. I was roughly 19 years old. No phone, nothing, it was just maybe a diary of where I wrote some numbers down. I never had a phone before then. So I was going to experience the world like the prodigal son.
Was there a phone in Nigeria? There were phones in Nigeria back then, weren't there?
Those big GSM phones that
GSM had just come out.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
I guess what I'll be interested in find out is how did you apply for student visa, or how did you come or was it an invitation, like coming in as a teenager from Nigeria?
I came in with a visa lottery, because my family made it almost like a habit of applying to those yearly.
What do you mean a habit of applying? I mean, what do you mean?
We apply every year. It's like Christmas. It's like Christmas. We must do it. So
every year people have to apply.
Then we put it in our prayer points. God, remember the children of Israel. We are in Egypt.
Come on, you can't call Nigeria Egypt. Come on, don't say that.
Egypt is even better than Nigeria. We are in between. We are in the wilderness. That's the best. Is the best place. I even think the wilderness is even better than Nigeria. Because at least you will be able to go down to the stream and catch fish and eat free sushi.
Yeah, so when the wilderness, in the wilderness, there's no water, nothing.
There is water. Well, God was giving them water. There was the Red Sea now. Shouldn't they have collected enough water when they passed through?
Yeah, they have fetched enough water.
Yeah. At least their camels did.
Yeah, at least the camel could make it. Yeah. But Nigeria, definitely, Nigeria is better than the wilderness. Come on. But you're saying you guys were praying every day, and then every time visa lottery came out, you always applying.
Yeah, we were praying because I come from a Christian background, and so we prayed, and we feel that from every year. I think we've almost been doing it since like 1995 because we're going through very extreme hardship. I mean, extreme hardship to the point my mom was pretty much the breadwinner. I mean, from sewing, she sewed, you know, I mean, God bless her because, from cutting scissors, her hands have already had, arthritis because that's how she raised us, from sewing, and things like that. So we prayed every year because we had some relatives that were here, but, it's not easy to invite people, there's a lot of things that goes into it. So so anyways, I won visa lottery, and the interesting part of it was that some people didn't even want me to come.
Oh, even if you won the visa lottery?
Yeah, some people said, don't let him go. He's going to go. After he goes, he can't make it to heaven again. He's too young. When he's older. You see,
if you get visa lottery, you don't go to heaven?
They said if he comes to America this young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I later understood what they were talking about. But you know what? Everybody has their perspective.
Yeah, but if you hadn't come, sometimes you can lose that.
I might never have, come. Just say, wait until he's older. I'm like, you can't hold off visa lottery. I think you have to come after a certain amount of time.
There's the statute of limitations for the time. You just can't wait forever.
Because they want you to come here and work and pay taxes.
That's right. So
yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're young.
What you're saying is that the Americans want you to come, and that's why they put it. Oh, okay.
You come here, you work. If you can get into the military, you're in selective service from 18 to 34 or 35. It's not, it's not only a one-way traffic. You come and contribute to the society.
You're saying it's not as rosy as it appears.
Oh, definitely not rosy. In fact, remove rosy from your head, because once you come, you're on your own. At least once you come, you're on your own. Because they even treat the asylum, and the asylum and the what they call them, the refugees, better than you. And once they come, they give them free food every month. They pay their bills. They put them in housing already furnished. But as a green card holder, when I came, it could have been that I didn't know so much about what I need to know.
Yeah, you were young.
I was young. I probably could blame it on that. But overall, you're on your own. So if you don't have food to eat, you're on your own. They didn't even, I think they could do a better job with, assimilating you into the society.
So there are two things here that I'm trying to decipher. One of them being that Nigeria is worse than a wilderness, and but on one hand you're saying that, on the other hand you're like, well, if you can live with the green card lottery, you should. So that's one issue we need to talk about. The other issue we need to talk about is that the green card lottery is not as rosy as you said, never to use the word rosy. The green card lottery is not as promising as it appears to. So let's go back to the first one.
Nigeria being better than the wilderness?
Yeah, but in your point of view, when you were that young, you came here, you didn't think Nigeria was better than the wilderness. You go anywhere, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You go anywhere, because anywhere outside of Nigeria would have been fine. Would have been fine. You hear people going to Italy, anything other than Nigeria would have been fine. But later on, you realize that was not true. In terms of when I say fine, the difference will be so clear.
Like the hustle you went.
But the hustle is the same everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, and the hardship you went through when you came. So in a way, were you like, oh my God, like your first year, were you saying, should I have just stayed back? Because it's like you're on this place, you didn't know anybody. Everybody thinks you have a green card, you've made it, but then you have to hustle to get yourself together. So would you have wished you were back in the wilderness?
I would never. That was a one-way. In fact, I would never. Yeah, I never thought of going back to Nigeria. That's why it was. And the reason for that was because I mean, the experience was thrill. I mean, just living, in a place where things are more organized, but it doesn't mean that it all comes at no cost. But overall, there is a lot of encouragement for you to start living your life, and be more fulfilling, but nobody's going to study for you, nobody's going to wake up and brush your mouth and brush your teeth for you. That wilderness expression that I used was because we had already been suffering so much, like I said, in Nigeria, to where we couldn't even eat 3 square meals, which was supposed to be the basic things. And for the level of my parents, at least my dad, for us to be going through that, you can imagine what other people were going through. We were living in a very good place.
I mean, what was your dad's position? I mean, you keep talking about like your dad. I mean,
my dad was a senior officer in the Nigerian army, but he got forced out because of politics and all of this nonsense.
And you were telling me earlier that he fought this Biafra war or whatever.
Oh yeah. So if you were to take, the service time, my dad should have been a general.
He fought on the Nigerian army part. He was
a captain in the Biafran army, and then he was over a captain in the Nigerian army. So so he left the BRAF and joined the Nigerian army and rose to
wow.
Yeah. So
yeah. Okay, so that's good. Then the other part of the conversation is where you were talking about
it's the wilderness part, right?
Yeah. No, you said the hardship and the difficulty, and that things were a little bit rough.
When I left Nigeria, I think they gave me $715, and that was it. After then, I was on my own. Okay, yes, I remember when I got to the US. I didn't have any previous job experience. Now, remember I told you the expectation is that you are going to come and hustle.
You finished secondary school in Nigeria?
Yeah, I finished in Nigeria.
Okay. But did you do JAMB or any of that?
Yeah, I did JAMB. Okay. I did JAMB. I did poly JAMB. My JAMB result was seized. And they never released the result. In fact, I should actually write them and tell them that they can go to hell.
What'd you say?
I should write them and say, bring my result out, or you can go to hell. Yeah, go to hell. My result was seized. I then did poly JAMB. I did poly JAMB, and then I did okay with the poly JAMB, and then I went to Polytechnic. So I was actually very fast. Most of my classmates were still trying to figure out high school, and I was already, in Polytechnic doing my doing electrical engineering. So I left my Polytechnic to come when I got the visa lottery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other issue you talked about is that the green card lottery is not as glamorous as it appears.
That thing is let me not use the word scam, but I wouldn't even come close to that. The reason for that is because when you come here as a green card holder, nothing. You are on your own. I mean, you are on your own. Perhaps one of the advantage you get coming as a green card holder is, let's say you come with your family. You're able to come with your family and you are able to use the family energy over here. Maybe you share 2-bedroom as a family of, 6 or 7, and all of you are able to, kind of rope each other, support each other. But if you come, like by yourself, for example, and you are young, like I did, or in that situation, it's a little different because I had to go look for a job. I never had any previous job experience. I didn't have any experience. I didn't graduate, college in Nigeria with any job experience that could have translated. So I had to, and here, the advantage I had was my English was good. My first job, I had to travel 2 hours, and then I had to get used to everything. I had to get used to everything new. I had to get used to reading the map, to use the train. I had to get used to, in fact, when I got here, I had to go look for a job on my own. I had to, I quickly tried to learn how to write resume. And when you go to look for a job, they were just treating you like crap because you don't have any experience. So you kind of sort of like a virgin, I don't know if that's a good analogy, but you don't have any experience. So I remember going to USPS, I remember traveling. I don't remember how I got there. I left 2 hours away from where so if you're there by yourself, you're really, I guess they tell you, they don't give you, they don't finish the process if you don't have somebody here.
You need a sponsor or a host.
You need a sponsor, yeah. So, but that's because they know this stuff is crappy.
Yeah.
So I went to go and look for job, and I remember then I was so inexperienced. I got stuck because we got to the USPS. Some guy said, come, I think a brother in some church said, come. So I went. I didn't even have his phone. I tried to call him. He was working at USPS. And so I got there. I said, fill an application. And me, I'm like, after somebody tell you to come, you think that you will just get the job. They say, fill an application. We fill an application. What am I going to write in the application? No history, no job history. And then I got stuck over there because I was begging one of the guys, hey, can you give me a ride back? I had to walk like almost 30 minutes going back to the train station. The guy was like, do you have $1? I'm like, no, I don't. And so I walked. I still remember that experience. So all those experiences, they just add up. Plus, they don't do a very good orientation for you when you get here, to teach you what you need to know. And like I said, you are really on your own because you can't really just, based on the limited information I had then. I mean, later on now I learned, okay, maybe you could have gone to a food place and say you want food and they will give you food, but
but you have to ask. But the refugees, they'll get a letter, they'll get somebody to guide them.
The refugees, they have people, in fact, I think the refugees the refugees had they have like host families.
Yeah.
That is assigned to them. And then I go and hustle, And when I come back, I stay in the cold because I didn't have a place. It was so cold, like my hands would be freezing. I mean,
yeah.
And so the experience was perhaps it was a shock. But when I got at some point, I just went somewhere, as I was trying, I got a job in the airport, and that was exciting. I was like, woo! $7 an hour. I was so excited, And they said, oh, we're going to do this, security clearance, this. So they gave me all these access. I thought I was on top of the world, That's really how I kicked up my life. But, working $7 an hour, I later realized that stuff would have not even gotten you nowhere.
Get you that far. So can you briefly share with us how your feeling was when you found out that you won a green card lottery?
My feeling was like, wow, like I don't have man, my feeling was like, cool, was very, very, I felt like, I started feeling like Joseph, if you know the story of Joseph, I felt special. I said, yes, you see, my brothers, when they tell you guys to pray, you are not praying very well, I was feeling cool, I was feeling cool, but I didn't know that there was a lot of responsibility that came with it, like I said, I was only focused on the glamorous part of it. I started disrespecting my brother, like,
going to America.
Yeah. And to be honest, when some people told my parents that I couldn't come, I was really, I was depressed because I thought they would really not let me come. Yeah. They actually almost got close to not letting me come. And but I was very, very excited. My dad was taking me around doing the process was also tedious too. You have to do medical, you have to do this, 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 and I wasn't trusting the postal system in Nigeria then, because if those letters get lost. So yeah, it was a very exciting moment of my life, undermining that fact that I didn't know what I was up against, but somebody had told my mom, like, when your son goes to the US, give or take 15 years before he's going to be able to be stable. He actually said that. And I was 19 years. He said 15 years before he will get to the top of his career where he's doing fine. Now, I know what he was talking about because you have to build your credit, you have to try to go to school, or you have to get a job. You have to figure out the system. The system is so complicated. Don't let anybody deceive you. But it's not something you cannot do. It's just so complicated. You can easily go off ramp in the sense that you can easily miss your road, and you can easily make it too. It depends on how fate hits you.
So, one last question. Again, thank you for all the advice. One last question. If somebody won the green card lottery today, what would you tell them, looking back based on your experience?
I would tell them.
By the way, I think the green card lottery has been suspended for Nigeria.
Yeah, I think it's been suspended thanks to Oga Trump. I would tell them to prepare your mental mind be very optimistic, plan. The more organized you are, the better. The more organized you are, the better. Depending on the situation of your exits from Nigeria. Some people exit, they get the visa lottery when they are like 49 years old, and they sell all their properties thinking, and then they come here to be shocked because, nobody cares about who you are when you're in Nigeria. You have to be humble. You have to be willing to learn, be open-minded. You have to open up your youthful mind, because even if you're 50 years old, and they bring you here and you are a security officer, for example, and you are reporting to 18 years old, you have to wrap up. You have to have your rapport with the 18 years old so you can make it.
Yeah. Which in Nigeria you'd be like, oh, that guy, I'm older than him.
Yeah, nothing like that. Here is, you have to follow you have to do what you have to do. And the last thing I would say is, once you get here, find a mentor. I cut my mentorship part of things off, and that really, really hurt me. But find a mentor, find somebody who can show you the way. It doesn't mean you cannot find the way, but in the process of finding the way, you might make a lot of mistakes that sometimes you might not be able to recover from. So find somebody who is willing to be honest to you, that will tell you how it is and not be telling you, some people, how they tell you, oh, my marriage is perfect, or something like that. They don't tell, instead of them to tell you that, it takes hard work, they try to make it look like, maybe it's everything is packed, but, everybody knows is, you have to work on it,
Yeah, no, thank you.
Somebody who is honest,
Yeah, no, thank you so much. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys for listening. Please, if you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe to this podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, please leave a comment. We would like to have activities and engagement in the comment section. Also, hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Again, I want to give a shout out for our guests. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.